I just want to listen to all of your story, man. How you got started and what made you really make this video.
Well, okay. Well, what made me make this video? Well, this video was in 2013, and I've been talking about Bitcoin since 2011, in March of 2011. And one of my subscribers, well, many of my subscribers actually, was saying that, they wouldn't put $1 worth of money into Bitcoin because they felt it was a scam. They felt that it was going to go to zero. So why waste that $1? And I said, it doesn't make any sense because, people spend $1 worth on a lottery ticket. And this, I'm telling you, this thing is going to do extremely well. So why not take that risk, that small risk, right, and see what happens? It just blew my mind when I was explaining to people over and over again when it was $1 that, hey, you know what? You get to buy this really, really cheap. And then, if it works out, you're going to be doing very well. And I believe it will do extremely well, like millions of dollars per Bitcoin. So, way back in March of 2011, and I was preaching it like crazy. I was annoying people actually. Everywhere I went, I was just nonstop talking about Bitcoin. At my office, I think the whole staff hated me. I couldn't stop talking about it because I was like shocked about how great this was and how great it would be.
Amazing, amazing, man. So do you still own any of those $1 Bitcoins today?
Yes and no. I mean, like, I've been moving them around and stuff like that. They've been, what, there was a time when I wish I'd done this. I was mining Bitcoins. The majority of the Bitcoins I got, I mined. And I was thinking, if I just like mine a one block at 50 block, right? And left that to the side for the future, sure, that's going to be worth a lot of money in the future.
Yeah.
And I was mining when, Bitcoin was like under $10.
Damn. Yeah.
Right. So each block was at most, right, is $100, right? $500, sorry. So yeah, it was what, the only problem, I was going to do it. The only problem was the way mining works, right, is that I have to like change out the address. Like I have one address that I would get the Bitcoin to, right? So whenever I'd mine it, it'd be produced at that address. So I'd have to switch out the address, mine the Bitcoin, as I'm mining the Bitcoins, and then, well, let's say I mine that 50 block. What would happen is I'd have to stop the blockchain network, switch the address back to my own one, and then start it up again. Okay. And there is a risk that after the block is made, I make another block, right? I create another block right away because that happens more often. In that case, more often than not, than most people think. That's why when I was running a pool, there would be a whole bunch of people coming to my pool just after I found the block because there's a high probability that I could find another block right away.
Okay, that's very interesting. Can you tell us a little bit about this mining pool of yours? Like, when was this? Was this also back in 2013?
It was 2011, 2012, and 2013 is when I ran a mining pool. Up until 2013 is when I ran a mining pool. Wow. And I stopped running the mining pool because I had a full-time job as a programmer, and I couldn't keep up with the programming needs of the pool because of my full-time job. So I had to choose between the two, and I just said, you know what, I'm going to stick to my job because I'm having fun with my job. I enjoyed my job, right? And I didn't so much like mining, right? Because it was pretty much
hot. It's a lot of heat. Was it in your house? Can you tell us?
Yes, it was in my house.
Yeah.
Right. I have videos of the mining in my house on my channel. Right? Yeah. If you head over to DaVinci J15, you'll see, and you find all the videos from the 2011. You'll see some videos that I've made of me mining, right? And yeah, you can see them. And also I have other videos on other channels, but anyways, I gotta take them down and maybe move them. But yeah, those videos, I have another channel that nobody knows about, and it has like mining videos there. And some of the videos are like, 50,000 views, 100,000 views. because I was mining back then, and it's not associated with me because my face wasn't on it. I was just talking about stuff
Yeah.
on
I
that
understand.
channel because
But
I didn't want to get the hate.
that's a very interesting fact that what you're saying back in 2011, you were mining already then. So like, how
Mhm.
did you get into this field? Like I know you said you had a background in programming, but like when was it the first time you learned about Bitcoin and what was your thoughts then?
When I first heard about Bitcoin was back in February of 2011, and then once I read about the source code, read the white paper, I realized that this was going to be a revolutionary technology. I wanted to buy as much as I could. I wanted to put down 20K,
Wow. At the
right?
time, yeah.
And at one time, right? Into Bitcoin at less than $1. But the only place to do that was at empty gods. And I
Mhm.
just didn't have the stomach to transfer $20,000 to some unknown exchange in Japan using our current banking system, which could lose the money from here to there. So
Okay.
so yeah, my stomach was turning for that, right?
Hmm.
There was a lot of risks there, right? One, will the banking system get it there on time? Because they take forever. Is they when they lose the money, it could take months before you get it, right?
Hmm.
And then the second thing is that exchange going to be real? Are they just gonna run off with the money, right? Because it was new. It was like it started back in 2010,
Hmm.
right? That was when that's back in 20 July or June of 2010 is when Bitcoin had some exchange value. And so it was a high risk, right? Doing that. So I decided to actually start mining since I'm a software developer. I knew how to do all of the technical stuff, right? So and also it made sense because my risk was lower in the sense
You had the equipment.
of my investment risk,
Yeah.
So I have equipment. So let's just say I missed something in the source code that would cause Bitcoin to collapse, right? Which I didn't think I did, but I didn't have enough encryption knowledge to know that for sure. And so it mitigated my risk, right? By holding on to mining equipment to mine Bitcoins and using that to own the Bitcoin to get more Bitcoin and spending that money. And then so really the expenses that I've put out were just basically for me and just the cost of buying them, right? For me, that's what I looked at it.
Amazing. It's a very nice story on how you got started into Bitcoin. I had the same story when I started in 2017, but it was not Bitcoin, it was Ethereum with the GPU. And a lot of people nowadays are just like they are very interested in mining. So we'll make sure to put a link to these videos you mentioned because it's quite interesting that you are one of like let's say the grandfathers of this field because you started already back in 2011 and you wanted to buy these huge quantities, $20,000. It's just kind of unheard of. This leads me to my next question. Like I wanted to ask you, like how were you buying Bitcoin at the in the start of it, where you're using uh US based exchanges, Japanese, you said something about that. Like what how did it work then?
Well, at first, there was few places that actually gave you free Bitcoins
Mm,
back in March and February of 2011. So you were able to go to what's called a Bitcoin faucet and get free Bitcoin. So I used to say that 67 cents was the lowest purchase price of a Bitcoin, which is true. The first Bitcoin I purchased was at 67 cents, but it wasn't the lowest price because I was able to get free Bitcoin on a Bitcoin faucet. So yeah, maybe zero was the lowest price of my Bitcoin because it wasn't a whole lot, right? It was like one or two Bitcoin, right? That they give you, right? And so yeah, that was my first encounter with getting some free Bitcoin. And eventually, I got the Bitcoin from this one person who was selling them through PayPal, but he was always limiting the amount that you could buy, right? So that there wasn't chargebacks, right? You
yeah.
would suffer chargebacks.
It's kind of like P2P.
And so, and then I also did a YouTube video asking people to, hey, if you want to sell me some Bitcoin, I'll buy it off of you, right? At a
Mm.
discount, of course. I was saying at a discount, but I don't think anybody took me up on that offer. I was willing to buy it like a lot, right? And then I did find a few places here and there on the web that sold small amounts, small quantities that I was just buying every single day because they weren't allowing you to do large quantities with a credit card or bank transfers. I was doing bank transfers to email transfers to this one company that was in Canada to buy Bitcoins in the early days when there was no other cryptocurrency. There was no Litecoin, no Namecoin, none of that. That came later. That came shortly after, like 2 or 3 months after, right, I got into Bitcoin.
So this whole journey, it's been like what, 11 years now?
Yeah, approximately. Yeah, 11 years exactly. Yeah, 12, and by next year, by February.
So how do you feel, Larry? Like, what path did this passion, let's say, where did it take you now? If you look back and reflect.
Well, it's taken me to this point, right? Basically, I would not have guessed that I'd be ending up living in Dubai, right, and being famous. Never occurred to me, because if it did, my username would not be DaVinci J15. DaVinci J15 was just a username that I didn't want anybody to take wherever I put wherever I create an account somewhere. Well, now that's a problem, because now everywhere I go, DaVinci J15 gets used right away, because now that I'm famous, right?
Amazing.
So, yeah.
Amazing. It's lovely. It's and again, very nice to have you on the channel. So you're saying right now, I think you're a very strong believer of Bitcoin and decentralization, but do you still believe in it today?
Oh, of course. I mean, it's going to be the money. It's going to be the money because it's better than any other asset that we've used for money by 1,000-fold.
So a lot of people like compare Bitcoin with gold. Do you agree on this comparison?
Yes, but Bitcoin has two crazy properties that gold does not have. One, it can be transferred instantly to anyone in the world, right? And two, your fridge can own a Bitcoin, can own gold, can't transfer gold, right? But your fridge can. A computer in your fridge can do that, right? And that opens a whole can of worms, right? For a future world that we will not ever imagine was possible. We will be completely surprised by the stuff we are going to make thanks to Bitcoin. It will be absolutely incredible. For example, to understand the capacity of growth, you have to compare it to something such as electricity. When we lit up the Eiffel Tower, people wrote in newspapers, talked about how electricity was a fad, that it was useless, it would burn down your house. There's no way to get it to cities without a cable the size of a bus in order to transfer the electricity, because they were using DC. And so it seemed like, oh, this is useless, right? But we now know that we have refrigerators, what's it called? Not cars, but let's see here. Washing machines, dishwashers, right? Cell phones. It was more than just lights, because lights were the only concept
It
of the
kickstarted the whole industry.
Yeah, it was the only use case concept for electricity. Now, Bitcoin, our only use case concept for Bitcoin is money. Dude, it can do a whole lot more than that. So that's what's coming. There's going to be, like, if we were to go back in time and show people this device, this is going to be possible thanks to electricity. They'd be like, "What's that? A cell phone?" They'd be like, "What's a cell phone?" You know, you can call people anywhere in the world. What? How's that possible? Well, there's a computer inside. What's a computer? Do you see how much things that that people were just can't even comprehend? Well, that's what's going to happen thanks to Bitcoin.
Amazing. So, it kind of makes me wonder about just like Web3 and some other like, because you're talking about like subdivisions or like the new coming things. And, you know, I really like your analogy of comparing something to when electricity, because like due to electricity we have lights today, refrigerators, microchips, and all of that. As maybe because of a decentralized finance system, we will get many things. So maybe these things are already built, like Web3, NFTs. I wanted to hear your take on those things. Like, what do you think about NFTs, for example? Do you think it's just hype, or do you think there's a future for it?
Yeah, the future for NFTs is just beginning. NFTs means digital is more than just some sort of a gift that you own inside of the, what's it called, the web, right? Speaking about NFTs, I'm going to have my own NFT line coming available. My first NFT collection, which is called Dabitar. This is one of the shirts that for Dabitar right here. And yeah, it's going to be available on my birthday, September 15th. I'm going to be turning 50 years old. Yes, I'm an old man.
You look young.
And this NFT has a cool utility. Many people want to have access to me, just a few minutes of my time. So you'll be able to gain access to my time by owning one of these NFTs. And who knows, even joining some parties and yacht parties and so forth with my friends and I. So yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun with that. So anyways, NFTs are more than just, own digital rights to a GIF or a picture. Their rights to other advantages, such as the one that I just described for my NFT collection. You could, for example, right, own a painting. For example, a good example is paintings, right? Many people think, well, wait a second, how do you have the NFT, the painting, and the real painting? Well, once you have the NFT of that painting, you are the guaranteed owner of that painting. So if for some reason your painting became stolen, somebody put up a fake one, right, and tried to sell off the real one, you still have the ownership right to the real one. So once it's found out that the real one's over at somebody else's house, well, that's still yours. And there's digital proof that it is yours and not the person who actually stole it or has it in their house. So that's a huge, huge advantage, right, for NFTs and digital ownership. So you can imagine where this can go with real estate, cars, anything that you can be owned through the NFT. So that means, amazingly enough, that means other things can own that NFT, such as your fridge, such as your car, such as a robot, right? Can own property and know that this is its property and no one else's.
All right. Interesting. So do you think NFTs will evolve to something larger? Because what you described is kind of a new concept. I didn't hear about it, for example, a year ago, when you are giving access to a community through owning a digital token. It's something unique.
Exactly. So that's a cool thing because you know what, everybody and their mother asked for like a few minutes of my time. So now they can own that.
Amazing. So we'll definitely put a link. Can you tell us a little bit more about this collection? Is it already like, is there a whitelist people can sign up for so they can, yeah?
Yeah, if they head over to dabitar.com right now, they can get on the whitelist by just entering their email address, and then we'll send them the following instructions.
Okay, awesome. So definitely put a link for that in the description.
But for your guests, I'm going to give them a special link, which is dabitar.com/VIP, and that will allow them to actually whitelist beforehand on the 13th of September and be able to purchase the NFT on the 13th instead of the 14th.
That's awesome. Thank you for that. Very cool. Super cool. And what is your thoughts about things other than NFTs? Like, I want to hear your thoughts about the metaverse.
The metaverse, in my opinion, is overhyped, and we're so far away from where you think it should be or where you believe it is. That's not funny. It's people's belief where it is and where it is like way down here. So it's like there's a complete disconnect, right? Because it's so. I will be more bullish on the metaverse when I see large corporations creating a layer zero to transfer digital assets between each other's games and products, right? So that you come up with a base layer transferring system so that you can transfer it to another game, and it may look crappy, but at least you'll be able to use it in that other game, because let's just say it's the pixel densities and all that kind of stuff, complex things don't work out in the other game because maybe they didn't render it in 3D properly, whatever. That has to come up. They have to come up with a standardization that works across the board. So then now this will be a reality in the future. That is so far away from happening. It's not funny, because we are just beginning. Because every time you develop a 3D gaming game, right? Many developers have to optimize it for the platform they wish to run it on most. So they optimize it maybe for the iPhone, or they optimize it for Snapdragon. And so there's different code bases for each and every 3D engine, which creates a huge amount of disparate systems, and they are not compatible with each other.
Yeah, because about these systems you're talking about, do you think it's going to be one metaverse, or is it going to be a lot of metaverses, like kind of like different blockchains? What is your thoughts about that?
Multiple metaverses, each of them created by different corporations, and maybe even a new corporation that creates a better metaverse than what Meta or Facebook has created. So yeah, there will be multiple, and that sharding will not produce a good experience for the end user.
Okay, cool. And since I just have one last question for you, do you have any advice for the newcomers? Because I told you, like most Arabic speakers today, they are new to the crypto. They haven't been in this field for 11 to 12 years. They're actually just going into this either last year or this year, most of the population in the Arabic region. So do you have any tips for them, since you are early adopter, let's call you, and a star in this world? What is your tips for them for things to look up for today?
Okay, so when you get into crypto, right, there's a lot of things you need to watch out for. Not only do you need to watch out for be careful on how you use your crypto, right? Because you can make mistakes, and mistakes can be very, very costly, because there is no call center that you can make. You call to say, oh, I'm screwed up. Sorry, once you screwed up, that's it, your money's gone. So you have to be very, very vigilant and careful when you're doing any kind of a transfer of wealth back and forth. Make sure you start off with small amounts first to test it, and then move the bigger amounts later. Second, scams are everywhere in this industry, everywhere and ever present. Do not transfer your money to anyone who says they were going to make you more money. Do not do that, ever, ever. Just make it a rule, okay? Because you're guaranteed to lose money. So if I call you up and say that I'm going to make you a lot of money, you tell me to F off, please. Okay? Already? Quite literally, say that, right? And say that I told you to say that.
Cool. Any other tips?
Yes. Also, if you're getting into Web3, which is connecting your MetaMask to websites and making transfers and so forth, be very, very careful. Stick with the websites that the influencers have mentioned, the big ones at least, such as OpenSea and so forth. Someone who has that you could trust, because you could lose all of your assets. Now, I know OpenSea has some problems and so forth. So yes, they've had a lot of issues, but they're still the number one place to trade NFTs. So please be careful, and do not move, do not transfer any asset that you do not know what it is. So for example, you open up your wallet, you've got a whole bunch of money. It says, oh, wait a minute, this asset's worth millions of dollars. Okay, I'm going to transfer it to self. Don't do that. That's a scam to take everything out of your wallet. So this is a key thing you have to be careful with Web3. It is the wild, wild west, and you have to know what you're doing.
That's awesome, man. Thank you so much for the tips. I wanted to also ask you about your community, because I saw your channel, I was on it, and I saw that you were at some point giving some trading advice. Is that still the case?
Yes, I do. Basically trading during I try to do every day, but lately it hasn't been the case. But because Bitcoin's been pretty boring, right? But anyways, trading is the main thing because it's always something to talk about when you're talking about trading, right? And although there is lots of news, right, and I can give my opinion on the news, trading always there's always something in the charts, but except right now because it's really like the prices. Everybody's a little sad with the low prices of Bitcoin, so it's a little bit rough. But hey, I like it too, so I don't mind talking about trading. So that's what I
So
do. But I prefer to talk only about Bitcoin all day long, uh, and tell you anything you want to know about Bitcoin, anything you want to know about, Lightning Network or Ethereum as well. I love that is my favorite subjects to talk about.
then if you like talking about Bitcoin and Ethereum, I want to hear your take on the price predictions. Do you do that? Or so what do you think?
Yes.
Where is Bitcoin and Ethereum going?
Over what time frame?
The next 10 years.
Oh, well, it will be money, so you will not. Okay, so that's like saying, what's the value of gold, 1 ounce of gold priced in Reichmarks? What is it? It's irrelevant because it's like it's into infinity, right? So effectively, in the next 10 years, it will be 10 to 15 years. The price of Bitcoin in dollars or Ethereum in dollars will be irrelevant, absolutely irrelevant. So what you want to know is what you can buy with your Bitcoin. Like if you were to own a Bitcoin today, wait 15 years, what can you buy? Well, most likely be able to buy extremely large mansion with 1 Bitcoin.
Amazing, amazing. Right. And what can you do with one Ethereum? Because Ethereum is also opening a whole new industry.
Yes, you'll with 1 Ethereum in the future, you'll be able to buy more than the average size home with 1 Ethereum, probably a little bit more.
Okay. I hope this video becomes like your video back in 2013, where you tell the Arabic world what you can buy. And we definitely have this on the record. Thank you so much, man. Thank you, Da Vinci, for joining and taking the time to interview. We will put all of the links you mentioned, and thank you again.
Well, thanks for having me. Cheers.
Cheers, man.